Well, welcome back to Unraveling the Brain. I am Dr. Tanner here at Dr. Josh Madsen's office, Iowa Infinity. I'm joined today with Cecilia and Mario.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
We're just going to chat a little bit about Kingston's story, what you guys have experienced here. We're in week number 2, halfway through second week, and just kind of want to, your experience, everything that you've seen here, what we've noticed, kind of what you did before, what led you to even come to our office, and kind of go from there. So if one of you want to start, just kind of tell us, story of Kingston and what you've tried so far.
I'll start.
Yeah.
So Kingston was born with a condition called hypotonia, which is also known as floppy baby syndrome. So we noticed very early on, that he was struggling with sucking, getting fluid all the way back to his throat. So at the beginning, he lost a lot of weight. We were having a syringe feed him. It was a whole thing. And around his 2nd month birthday is when we discovered that they categorized him as failure to thrive. So we checked into UCLA Hospital. We stayed there with him for about 10 days, 9 to 10 days. They ran a bunch of tests. He saw a bunch of specialists. And what they gathered was that of all the things that they ran, he had hypotonia. So straight from there, they, put us on a plan, suggested that he have physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. We currently reside in Los Angeles, so we went through the regional center, and he's been doing a lot of therapies. Since he was about 10 months, I think, is when his first therapy started.
Yeah, and he's currently doing like 7 therapies a week.
Yeah.
He's almost 3, still isn't walking.
Or talking,
yeah. But he communicates, just not verbally. Yeah. And my wife here was fed, the Iowa Infinity Center on her Instagram.
Yeah.
And
in November.
So
yeah.
we initially recognized that a lot of kids who came here, had similar symptoms as Kingston, our son. So we, made the call, made the arrangements, got the on-phone consultation, and I won't even say luckily, but divinely, we're here just like 2 months or less after that day.
Yeah.
And we got in pretty quickly, and the timing was pretty divine because he's always progressed. It's just been slow progress, but it's always been progression. But the last few weeks, he really ramped up on his own with the course of the help of us and our wonderful tribe we have back home. So it was just perfect timing that he came here and everything, he's done here thus far in this week and a half has been great. The staff is amazing.
Yes.
We saw progress in just a few days. Him being able only to walk with someone assisting, him with holding his 2 hands. Now he can walk with only being assisted with 1 hand.
And he also only reaches out with 1 hand, whereas before it was like, I want 2 hands. Now, when I say, let's walk, he'll reach out with 1 hand, which is huge. I mean, we've been trying to get him to do that for over a year at this point. So that was huge. And then there were some other things. We noticed, like, he's more aware. Like, he's just not only aware of himself, but of others. We notice him kind of noticing things going on. He'll see a bus drive by and point to it. And, Wheels on the Bus is his favorite song. The whole staff here knows that. Mm-hmm. So he'll point to the bus and he'll look at me instantly like, Mom, did you see that? Let's sing the song, which is really great. Mm-hmm. We've noticed that just even in the programmings, like if we watch like one of his programs, Miss Rachel is one of his programs, in the past, he would just kind of be more of a just kind of watch and not really participate. But now we're noticing he's, if she says clap your hands, he's clapping his
more
hands.
Engaged.
Yeah, a lot more engaged. And he's crawling, which is huge. We've struggled with that. I mean, that's one of the biggest struggles that he's had is crawling. He tends to roll. And probably in the last year, he's been doing more army crawling. But literally from day 2 here, he's now, he still might go down into an army crawl after a few actual crawls, but he's engaging in that movement first, Absolutely. Which is really, really great. So yeah, I mean, we feel very hopeful because, before this, I think we were I know I was a bit hopeless. He's about to be 3. He's going to be going into, school, and just what does that look like for him? And knowing that there's not really a lot of, it's crazy enough, there's not really a lot of help for kids like him in those situations. So, we got to get him walking, and we feel like we know what we need to do now to get him there.
Yeah. I know I was fortunate enough to do his initial exam, and on top of the hypotonia, we found some like primitive reflexes that still were present, not integrated. And, we had the conversation of how that can bottleneck our development, whether it's our vestibular system and eventually our ocular system. And then we even reach our, our executive function centers, and how that all just impacts even like gross motor skills, being able to crawl, eventually walk, how that can impact speech development, all that. And, been really cool to just see his progression after getting him some energy and getting those centers activated the way they should, which has been really cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know one of the goals was to be walking, or at least walking with one hand.
Yeah.
And that was due to school, or?
Yeah, due to school. He is transitioning out of a current daycare school program into another tier, and that school requires him to be a bit more independent. They prefer him to be walking, if not fully walking on his own, at least have little assistance to walk up and down stairs. So that's what we're aiming for. That's our goal.
Yeah.
And I know that was it day 2? I don't remember.
It was
we
day
just
2.
Activated him. Like,
it was day 2.
Yeah,
He
like
started walking down the hallway,
grabbing both hands before,
Yes.
and then we were transitioning from one end of the building to the other, and took him by one hand, and he's walked
been doing that ever
independently
since.
all the way, which is really amazing.
Yeah.
Now we know more exercises to do when we get home, and we also purchased one of the red laser. Correct me, I forget the correct term, but we purchased one of those, so we definitely will be utilizing that a lot. We feel like that is a key component,
absolutely,
with a lot of his therapy and just really engaging those muscles and strengthening, his tone.
Yeah, no doubt. And we talked about, how those lasers are true, like photobiomodulation, and can actually reach into our cellular level, specifically that mitochondria, which produces our ATP, which is the energy we use for all functions of life.
Yeah.
And just getting him more of that and be able to activate those centers a little bit more. It's just really changed his dynamic and progression looking ahead.
Another thing that we were able to get a bit more clarity on since being here is, his lungs are, what I've learned from you all, are infantile. They're still very small. And that's likely due to his low tone and not being able to inhale a lot of oxygen. So his lungs are still very small. And so we've been getting a lot of oxygen treatments too. I mean, pretty much almost every day that we're here of the 5 days, he's getting a treatment. And I know I've noticed he just seems to just have a little bit more energy. And I'm just looking forward to the long-term effects of that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know a realization that I had, which we already know. We try to, give him the best diet, clean diet, but inflammation, I know that's very instrumental in, making sure to have very little to no inflammation in your body, because all of that affects, how he moves. So it made us more aware of what we're giving him, even though we eat pretty clean. It's, you want to make sure avoid foods or anything that will cause inflammation. And it really made us realize to dig a bit deeper in terms of the natural herbs and stuff that may be out there to accompany everything that we've learned here in this past week and a half. So I could say we're more armed and geared to take it to a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys have been doing a lot at home. You've been doing different therapies. You guys eat very well. You're giving him all the tools, right? It's just finding those missing pieces and being able to layer it on top of one another.
Yeah.
And that's where we really seen the biggest growth.
I mean, we're really grateful.
7 days.
Yeah, we're really grateful for finding you all. And I would have to say that, if anybody has, any doubt earlier on, I mean, I wish we would have gotten in here sooner. You know what I mean? Just to bear witness to, the movements that we can be doing with him, simple things that we could be doing that could have pushed him a little bit further, a little bit faster. But I'm just grateful that we're here now. But like, if anybody is like, oh, is this kind of sounds like our story, I highly recommend looking into this center, because there's just not a lot of places like this.
No, there's not.
And we've seen so many doctors, and we're obviously very concerned parents. He started with 3 therapies a week. We got him up to 7, and we had to go through the system to do that. So we're very big advocates for our son. I know a lot of people don't necessarily have the wherewithal to do that, but I just want to say, like, if you have a feeling that there's something more, you should definitely look into it, because the sooner you attack it, the better chances you have of getting to the end result much faster.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And some professionals, it's no knock to them in the medical field, they just may not be looking at it from all perspectives. Yeah. So it's important to just explore it all and trust your gut and look into this place.
No one talked about primitive reflexes with us.
Nobody
did.
As I was just going to ask, had any of your other professionals looked into that?
No. We have, so his occupational therapist is incredible. So is his physical therapist. And when I brought up, once I had seen the videos, Dr. Josh's videos, and I just went down the rabbit hole and, heard him talking about primitive reflexes, that was one of the things that I went back and spoke to with his physical therapist and his occupational therapist. But she was like, oh yeah, we work on some of that stuff here. But I think it's just, they kind of just do what they think they're supposed to do versus like tailoring things specifically to each individual child. They have a lot of kids with cerebral palsy in that center. So a lot of the things that he's doing there are reflective of that. But she did mention that they were doing it, but no one had actually said those words to us, which once I heard them, it was kind of like a light bulb went off. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, makes a lot of sense,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean.
And it's funny, I never saw the laser treatment being applied. I'm not sure if they do it there.
They definitely don't at his
in LA.
Center, no.
However, I mean, his physical therapist she's been working with him for over a year, so she knows what he's capable of and how to push him and when to push him. And it's funny enough, because we were talking last night, we were like, you know what, I think he needs to be even pushed even more these last couple days, because just thinking back of what he was doing in PT with the steps and all of that, I'm like, you guys are getting to know him. You know what he's capable of, but it's like we can push him to another level. Just to really max him out.
He's so capable, but he also kind of like he definitely has the like I'm a baby vibe. Like he's all about like take care of me, woe is me.
Can't let that little frown.
Yeah, exactly. That little puckered lip, So
he needs to be definitely pushed. Otherwise, he will just lay back and chill.
Yeah.
No, I think we've seen huge growths, and even just like yesterday, how independent he was on some of those activities. Standing on a vibration plate, but
lifting
we started with like passive lifts, marching in place, and got to a point. It was like Kingston left, tap it, and he was lifting it on his own, which was amazing to see.
Yeah.
Just building that confidence of being able to stand in one spot. We haven't gotten to the taking a bunch of steps all at once. I think here we've seen maybe 4 steps on his own.
Yeah.
Likes to kind of dive into our laps. I think you guys had mentioned maybe seeing 6.
Yeah. He recently, like the week before we came here, he took maybe 2 times. He took 4 very controlled steps, very slow steps, and then with you, he did as well.
Yeah, he took, I believe, 4 steps. Then he paused, held his balance, and took 2 more steps afterwards. So.
It's there.
Yeah.
You just got to bring it out of him.
And we're seeing that more and more, like just his ability to like go from a sit position on the ground, using one hand, standing up, then he is building that stability, that control when he first comes up, and you see like he wants to go.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
does.
Just gets that upper body ahead of him and kind of falls forward. But stay tuned on that. I think it's going to change real fast.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. It's been really good. Even like yesterday, and building on the like awareness component. Like, there was another kiddo near him sitting on a swing. Obviously there was some music playing, which Kingston loves, but he right away head came up and he wanted to crawl over there, like
He wanted to be
True
engaged.
crawling, yeah.
And then he even reached for a stranger to him, you know, his hand. So again, that like just being, I mean, I can think back, you know, not even a month or two ago at his PT session, because PT is where he's in a similar environment where there's a lot of other kids and stuff. He never engages with anybody. Like there's people are around him. He's very much just like whoever is directly, you know, working with him, he'll engage with them. But kids can be in the same room, never even paid any attention to them. And now for him to actively like crawl over, grab somebody's hand, like, hey, I want to hang out with you guys, that was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, there was even a moment in the lobby where he made a friend, you know, early on, this incredible kid here named Austin. But Austin came running over to him, and we brought his toy in, you know, to keep him busy. And he was playing his piano, and Austin came over to play as well. And Kingston kind of like looked at him and like started playing with him, you know. And I don't know if that's like, you know, mostly attributed to what we've been doing here. He has been in daycare, you know, in the last 6 months, so he has been a little bit more engaged there. But he's got a very small class there, so I'm not really sure how engaged he is there. But to see that was really great.
Yeah.
You know?
Again, seeing all those systems come together.
Yeah.
You're activating the brain appropriately and supplying those three things that we always talked about, you know, our stimulation, whether that's the exercises we're doing, some of the brain games we have here in the clinic, the ATP, getting enough energy into his system, and then the oxygen, which you guys have been doing, those HBOT, the hyperbaric chambers, and I know you already touched on that, but just there's a rhyme and reason for everything, right?
Yeah. He checks for us too more, which is again about the awareness, but it was a really big moment. It was the second night, or no, it was maybe the third night. I noticed that, you know, typically in the past, he would just, you know, kind of look for you, but like that was it. But now he's actively like, if I want you, Mom, I'm coming to you. It's not like, hey, come get me. He will come to us, you know, and usually it starts with like 4 or 5 crawls, and then he'll kind of army crawl. But like, he's just a lot more like engaged and like wanting to be where we are and making sure that he gets there on his own. He'll go and grab a book now and bring it to us.
Tell him to grab, like, what book do you want from the book pile?
And he'll be across the room.
He'll go get the book, he'll pick it out and bring it. And
he's never done that before.
Even him just holding a book and moving with it and handing it to you, like, that's a lot of progress from where he was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is. And I know you guys can attest to this at home, but I feel like even in the clinic, you know, first couple of days, he was holding that bottle and just was using like his arm, shoulder more, like trying to compensate, like even the strength there.
Yep.
I noticed the last couple of days, seems like he's been able to like hold it like a lot firmer,
100%.
upright. Like,
and he has a cup. I actually recorded it because Mario had to go back to LA for a couple of days and came back, and I recorded it so he could see it. He has a cup that has like handle, and typically he would kind of like hold it in a very strange way, just like you said, kind of using more of the arm to like help. And now he's just like regular, you know, how we all use a cup. And even if it's in his car seat, you know, and the handle is maybe not turned the way it should be, before he would kind of clumsily like try to pop it out of. Now he'll like literally turn the arm, the cup, you know, like pull the handle around and then pick it up. I mean, just little things like that are huge.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's before we got here, none of that was happening. You know, so just really excited.
Yeah, it really shows you how much can change in a short matter of time, and you know what that looks like going forward. You guys are well equipped and have seen, you know, you're involved, you're ready to continue making that change and continue to like raise that potential as much as you can.
Today we're going to partake in the exercises so we can, it's like our training.
We were saying we want to make sure we do it in front of you so you can see how
and make sure
some pointers
make sure we feel very comfortable and confident as we go back and do it on our own.
That's
one
awesome.
other thing I would say is I've noticed, you know, different parents kind of participate in different capacities here. And I know some of it might be maybe recommendation from you all, but I will say for like some of the smaller kids, it's important to like see what's happening. I think a lot of times with a lot of therapies, kids are kind of whisked away and you just let them do what they do. But it's so important when you're here to like be engaged, or at least pop in and see what's happening so that you can continue doing that when you leave. because it's one thing to be told, oh, hold them this way. It's another to like we said, actively participate and learn the steps so that when you do leave, you're doing it the right way.
And
you know,
promoting the right activities. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking? I thought of two. I have two questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of them is sort of a question, but we noticed with Kingston, and I don't know if because his love for music or sound, but certain frequencies really like chill him out. And we played at Cecilia found like these frequency audio clips that we would play when he sleep, or sometimes just play it, you know, at different points of the day. Yeah. Maybe that's something, I don't know if you guys may consider to incorporate that, you know, some sound baths or such, as kids are getting treatments, maybe just, because I think there's definitely obviously some healing components when that sound is applied within the session.
I know there's like, I forget the frequencies off the top of my head. There's some like classical music, like certain frequencies that, like you said, are more like resting and healing. So like we've definitely used that before, probably not as much as we could.
Yeah.
It's been like put in home plans before too, like just seeing different kids. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said about that.
We were doing, I think it's like, I don't really want to quote it because I could be incorrect about the frequency number for the sleeping, but there's supposed to be one that helps with speech while they're asleep. And I kind of stopped doing it because I wasn't sure if it was like waking him up, because he started having this period of time where he woke up a lot during the middle of the night. And I'm like, is it because the synapses are, you know, and he's like, and it was not good. I mean, it was good because I definitely noticed he was trying to, you know, put his lips together to make more sounds. I've noticed he's doing that here too, like blowing bubbles or making that kind of like, he doesn't do that often. And he's been doing that a lot since we've been here, which is great. So now I'm like, okay, when we get back, we're getting back on the sound frequencies because now with all the other things that we've learned, the red light therapy and everything that we're going to be applying, like it might actually push that faster. But I can't remember what the number was, but it was, we were definitely noticing like slight changes, but it wasn't enough for me to keep doing it at the time. Cause like I said, his sleep was kind of off, but now I'm like, I can't wait to get back and And
that's gonna be one of the things in your home plan too, is like how to use that laser for like their speech centers, you know, Wernicke's and Broca's, their receptive and expressive language, and just some like different acupuncture points that have been researched and shown to increase speech production. So that'd be really cool to see.
I also feel being in a different environment really helps as well with Kingston. You know, when we travel, we go, you know, to Panama a lot. He really thrives there in terms of just being more chill. You know, we live in LA, so it's a hustle and bustle. And especially recently with fires and, you know, pollution. So I'm always curious.
As much,
I'm just curious. Like, I know that has to have some effect because I feel the difference being out here. This feels like fresher air. Like I don't have any sinuses out here. When I get back to LA, like I'm, you know, the allergies can kick up. You know, so all those little things really help. Just being like in a different place. You know, a different space. So
and I mean, with that said, you know, different cities and different, you know, the places that are busier, like, you know, cars and buildings, and like that's all polluting the air, right? I mean,
right.
And if we're susceptible in any regard, our body can't produce enough energy to detox that. Like that all makes a huge
It makes a big difference. And again, like I said, I notice how like my nostrils are clear and the air is fresh. You know, back home, it's funny enough, like I went back home for a few days and one morning I stepped outside and I still smell smoke in the air from the fires. There was no fires.
There's no more burning?
Well, at the time it was pretty much little to none. But just the fact that there was none near us, but it's just still in the air. It's still in the air, and all those little things are factors into how we, you know, move and live.
Absolutely. Cool, you guys. Well, I don't really have anything else. If there's anything else you guys want to share, but
I think one recommendation for you and Dr. Josh is perhaps a new center in a tropical place.
Hey, I'm all for that.
Come to Panama.
Panama, or Florida. Like yeah, that'd
Somewhere
be great.
Nice and warm.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Feel a little
It's
better
been
than
nice
that.
though. I think it's been nice though, like having a change of pace, like for us though, because we're so used to a different environment. Like there's little flurries outside. I think it kind of lends itself to just being. We're more focused on what we're doing here. It's like every day we go home. Yeah, there's not a lot of distractions. Every day we go home, we get right to business. And I think just depending on where it is, that could change that. But I know that you're opening centers, and they're having one in Colorado.
Yeah, we one in Colorado and one in Minneapolis.
It can still be in a tropical area, and still secluded away from the hustle and bustle.
That's true.
But just as long as you just give me some coconut trees and some humidity, I'm great.
A little different than the 15 degrees that it's outside today.
Right.
No, I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. Like that relaxation piece too, that activating that parasympathetic aspect of our nervous system, just calming down, allows our brain to heal and also blossom at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Well, this is perfect. I mean, we really have enjoyed our time here, and like, I'm looking forward to the next few days. I mean, what is it? It's Wednesday, so we've got another 2 days here, and just based on the progress he's made thus far, I know there's going to be more that we're going to see before we leave, and like, I'm excited to see like what we're going to see when we get home, and a couple months from now, and we'll definitely stay in touch. And
it really, this trip made us even really think about our future, how we want to move and where we want to be, and all of that, and just being able to slow down here. So
makes you take a pause and
it's to all out there who's watching, taking a trip out here or somewhere new and trying different things will just broaden and open up everything and how you see it. You know? So explore and experiment.
Yeah. Well, you guys, I can't thank you enough for, trusting us with Kingston's care and sharing Kingston with us. It's really special, and excited to see, what the future has in store for him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.